Hello everyone, this is Pamper2. Today I'm working on one of my friend's miners. This is a Bitcoin miner made by Bitmin. It's an Antminer S7 and it mines at normally around 4.75 terahashes. Now my friend was running this since around December last year, 2017, and he has shut it off for now because of the low profitability on this, and it's not hashing at the full 4.7 terahashes. There looks to be a little bit of damage right over here, but I don't think it's actually broken anything. It's just bent. That may be the reason for the low hashing rate, but for now I'm going to take it apart and clean it out really well. Solder this back in place, or bend it back in place, and then solder it, just in case there's any microfractures you can't really see. And put it back together, and then go about seeing why exactly it's not running at full power. I have quite a little bit of experience with these now. I've been running a small farm for the last couple years, and getting into a lot of repair and rework now that the S9s and S7s are still being used. Usually there's something new and they all get upgraded before they fail. So let's get this apart. Okay, the first thing I'm doing is marking the fan with F1, and then the direction for symbol and rotation. There is a difference between the front and back fans, the exhaust and the intake fans. So it does make a difference. I have one of mine actually hooked up in the reverse order, and it doesn't seem to matter that much, but they are different types of fans. One is for pushing air and one is for exhausting air. And the way they're shaped makes somewhat of a difference, I guess. They wouldn't do it if there wasn't a reason, but you can see this one is shaped like that. A little bit different. I'll show it once I get the fans off the device. So all the connections are marked and then unhooked. You want to be really careful with these connectors. They do seem to be quite weak. This one has actually been bent. I don't know if that's from somebody trying to take the connector off or just getting yanked too hard. And someone has been inside of this before me. 2 screws are missing. And let's see how this one's hooked up. These are a little bit smaller than the S9s. I've never actually owned an S7. I went from a let's see, I started with GPU mining back in 2013. And eventually I found a Antminer S1 on Craigslist for $20. I got a few of those. That was around 2014, 2015. And then I went to an S5, SP20, and now I'm at 40 terahashes with 3 of the S9s. Alright, that one's disconnected. So now you can kind of see there are 2 different types of fans, and I did forget to mark this one. It was like that. So you can see now it's more clear that they are different types of fans, and the blades are even shaped differently. Alright, so this is what it looks like after a month or 2 in use. It does get a lot worse as it gets dirtier. A layer of dust will start collecting right against this edge, eventually making a full layer, and these chips get really hot. So here's one of the blades. That's what they call the whole board assembly, is a blade. And this one is the version 1.3. Each one of these little heat sinks is glued to an ASIC chip, an application-specific integrated circuit. And for Bitcoin mining, they are specific to SHA 256 generation. And they are generating, as fast as they can make these, they're generating, well, this whole thing is 4.75 trillion key pairs, hashes per second. So one of these boards is going to be around 1 to 2 terahashes. So about 1 1/3. Let's call it that. 1.4. The power for these things comes in through those 9 positive, 9 negative connections, running at 12 volts. And we go down here into the power supply, power regulation circuit. And these things over here are voltage regulators. They send a signal, either there's a PIC. So here's a SN1537 chip made by Microchip, it looks like, and this is a little 8-pin flash programmable EEPROM, and it's right next to this port that don't have a plug. I'm gonna guess that this is the PROM for the board, and by installing JTAG or whatever protocol this is, you probably can easily reprogram this PROM and unlock whatever you want it to do, just to analyze and learn how the thing works. But that's definitely where they program it. Here's the other 2 blades out, and right now I'm just looking for anything obvious, anything burnt, broken, traces, or heat sinks that are askew. And I don't see anything yet. I did find something just now on this second board I've cleaned. There's some weird, it almost looks like a black marker, but after I've cleaned it off with alcohol, it's still on the board, and it looks like it might have gotten burnt there. The traces don't look damaged or anything, but there is definitely something burnt, or maybe rust, and it shouldn't have rust on it because it's not made of metal. But there's something on that board that it did eat. It ate some of the metal away there. It does look like something was damaged. This is what it should look like right there. This is what it looks like. Let me flip it around so it's the right one. Oh, that's right, yeah. So here's another board, and it looks about the same, or that little mark is actually in the same place. So I'm not sure if that was done intentionally at the factory or what, but they both have marks right in that section. Okay, so I ran the chassis and fans through the dishwasher for a few minutes in just water, and dry them off. Put some lubricant on them and put the thing back together. You can wash your mining boards, the hashing boards. You can wash the blades in the dishwasher too, if you want to. I've done it successfully in a previous video, washing an S2, the entire thing in a dishwasher, and it works, still works today, and it's a lot easier than doing it by hand. Okay, before I put this back together, I oiled these right after washing them. I got the inside coated with a water displacement oil, WD-40, something like that. And I'm going to hook them up to this board to power them, and just power them up on their own. I think he said one of the fans he had was bad too, so I'm expecting one of these not to work. Alright, so that is the bad fan, I guess. I'll put that aside for now and put this all back together. This is how I'm drying them, letting the hot air flow through the boards so that they can dry out really well before I power them up. He said one of the fans was failing, and I'm not sure if he checked if it was the fan or the board. So what I'm going to do is check that now before I start taking the fan apart. One of these, board number 1, board number 2. Okay, I put it all back together except for the bad fan, which I'm going to work on later. I'm now going to power up the main board on this so that the fan can run for a while without powering up the blades. So this is the intake side and this is the exhaust. Spinning. Yeah, that's working.
Yeah, how many watts of power they're consuming in such a small space and not just totally cooking.
And this one up here, this is the SB20. They're one of the competitors with a different design. They're no longer in business, but their chips, instead of having many lower clock chips, they had few higher clock chips that are more like a GPU design. Those max temperature, they're made to run at 125 Celsius before they fail.
You look at the way they're made, they look a lot like a mobile chip, you know, where they're on their own daughter card and in the silicon carbide top.
Yeah. And those would have had a separate heatsink for each one. This generation had one solid heatsink on the back side, and then they switched to the separate individual heatsinks for each chip. maxed out for now.